Well, it's certainly the first time having a carburetor like this taken apart. I got to tell you, it did not fight me. It did come apart. It wants to run properly. So this is where the fuel line connected. This is the needle and seat assembly and float, basically. It's all one assembly. So float comes up, shuts fuel off. I hesitate throwing this in carburetor cleaner. I'll probably clean it separately. The jet wouldn't actually screw in. It was just so gummed up I didn't force it. I took it out. So I don't know exactly how many turns in it was. Normally I screw them in and count the turns so I can put them back. This was at the bottom of here. And the main jet then screwed in, and then the needle came down through the slide, right, and metered the fuel in that main jet. What I don't have in my mind yet is, do I have all the parts over here? Oh, there they are. Is how this all works. Sorry I keep wandering on you. So this went like this, and then there was this keeper here, and that's what's supposed to drive the slide up and down. So I'll have to figure that out. The spring would keep it to the bottom. That keeper possibly goes on here, but what would that do? Hold the spring? Not sure why. But I'm not sure what pulls the slide up. I don't think it's just been monkeyed with, so I think we have everything. I just don't know. But I think it will come together. But I need to get this thing soaking tonight in a carburetor cleaner because it is a mess. Oh, I didn't show you deep down in that rusty mess. See if I can find the best light. Can you see that? Yeah, flashlight. Yeah, there's a little yuck in there. The rest of it's not horrible. It'll clean up. I've got the standard, what you can buy today, carburetor cleaner, but I have a partial can of old school carburetor cleaner that really works. So it's out in the solar shed with my small engine stuff. So I'm gonna grab it, bring it in, and put all these parts in there, let it soak tonight. Gosh, I sure wish I had a kit, carb kit, so I could get all those seals and stuff, which I don't. But it is what it is. We got what we got. So I'll gather all this stuff up and get it soaking, and we'll reconvene on this thing tomorrow morning. Hey, good day. It's Saturday morning. We're out here at the shop. Got the carburetor for the 59 Mitsubishi engine out of the antique Chem Dip carburetor and parts cleaner. That stuff was deemed illegal. It's a little too caustic, I think, for people, but that's why we wear those gloves. That's that stuff when you get it on your hands, 3 days later you still smell it, so it penetrated your finger skin pretty deep. So I got all the parts and pieces cleaned up. It cleaned up nicely. That carburetor had a coating on it. I say had, H-A-D, former, used to have a coating on it. It all came off in the carburetor tank. I'm soaking with that one other piece, but you can see all the silver flecks in what I had cleaned off there. That was that coating. But it cleaned up nicely. We're ready to reassemble this thing. Got it all blowed out with some compressed air. This is what that carburetor is. After I got it cleaned up, I could read the AMAL 892. I haven't, I looked up the AMAL. It's a British carburetor. Y'all might be familiar with it. It's the first one I've seen. I guess they made quite a few carburetors for motorcycles and small engines and so forth. I haven't found an 892. I thought I'd look real quick, just see if there was a kit available. Other than that, I went back to Harbor Freight. I thought I probably had some copper washers, but I picked up some more because pretty much that's what it needs. I'm pretty happy with everything else. So there wasn't a lot of gaskets, so which is something I don't have. I could make them, but I'm not going to need them. So I'll get to putting this thing back together so we can put it on and get a little more than a pop out of it today. I'd like to hear it run. I'll check back with you too in a little bit because I did pick up another project last night and I'm anxious to show you what it is. Still on the trailer. Oops, somebody's here. So I'll check back with you a little bit. Well, we've come to the point where I'm going to have to figure out the slide, the spring, the keeper, and the lever. And this keeper goes on the end of this shaft and clips in there fine, but what does it do? I thought, well, maybe the spring goes this way. Okay, now I've got a spring return for this lever, but typically there's a cable on like a motorcycle that goes down through the slide and hooks on the bottom side. So when you run the throttle, the slide comes up, the needle comes out of the main jet, you add air and add fuel. Well, what raises this? And the only thing I'm wondering now is if, how can I do this so you can see it? This clip just wedges in here and just grips it. That's all I can think of at this point, unless I'm missing pieces. And then let's see what goes in there. Well, maybe it does. I went online and looked at this AMAL 892 and I can't find one. Oh, whoa, that actually fits pretty good. Hey, that's it. Now I want it out of there because I got to put the stuff together here. Okay, well, I wasn't so far off then. Wow. Come on out of there, dude. Alright, there we go. I think we've got it figured out. Say this is fairly complicated yet simple. Let's see if we can get it back together without launching something across the shop. Okay, so there's that. And then there's, dang it. This is just hard to do and keep you in frame there. But this is the important part. And now the spring shot through it. What the heck? The spring overrode the clip here. Well, if it ain't one thing, it's another. Now I gotta get it out of there. Come on. Just spin it. Alright. Alright, let's start this over again. We're going to know a lot about this thing anyway, aren't we? That's the fun part about getting this weird stuff. You're going to run across things you never seen before, and then you're going to figure it out. Alright, once again. I have, oh man. So when I squeeze that in, I lose the spring. Oh boy. I gotta be careful. I can't lose the tension on that spring either. Or the clip, rather. Come on. There's just something I'm not doing correctly here. Alright, we're back on again. I'm just going to push it with the screwdriver. One side. Come on. Are we there? We're there. Hey, we locked in place. There we go. That's it. I'll be darned. Now I've got a spring return on the lever. A stiff spring return on the lever. We got slide working. I put a little assembly lube on it. Needle's clean. Main jet is clean. We're getting there. We are getting there. Just put a little grease on the threads. Put that in carefully. Line up the groove to the notch. Or the notch to the groove. One of the two. That could be a little cleaner in there, you know. Let's take a moment and make that better. I wonder if I have, yes I do. Excuse me for a second, let me squeeze by you. You ever make one of these mini hones? Yeah, I did. Now's not the time. It's a perfectly clean carburetor, but I should have checked the fitment of that piston, because that thing needs to move smoothly. I just made this with some copper wire and stuff one day. Let me blow the garbage off of it though before I stick it in there. Try to keep it clean as possible. Alrighty then. And you just take this and fold up the Scotch-Brite pad, slide it on in, and hone away the roughness. Kind of cleans that out a little bit. I'm going to just kind of grease that up. Alrighty. Alright, it's still a little stiff. I was interrupted by a phone call. So let's repolish the piston here. Just with a Scotch-Brite pad. Not going to hurt anything. Just polishing it up. There's certainly a coating on this piston, man. You don't want to go through that. Looks good. That's better. It'll break in on its own. Let's try this out. Oh yeah, you can see the slides. Working good. Pretty happy with that, actually. And this would be idle adjustment. I like it. I'm pretty confident we're doing good here. Making good headway. The mixture screw. Just putting a little bit of grease on the threads. Little grease on the threads. Now I couldn't count the turns that this was out because it was so gummed up. I tried a little bit to drive this screw in. I didn't want to hurt anything, so I didn't. So we'll just go out an inch and a half. Maybe 1.5 to 2 turns. It's usually enough to make them run. Alright. 1/2. 1.5. I'm going 2. I'm going to go 2.5 because I kind of remember the distance it was on that spring. I'm going to clean this last piece up. I've got it kind of soaking over here, and then I'll put it on, and we'll put it on the engine, and we're about to see if this thing will run. Back in a flash. All right, carburetor's back on. I put a little fuel in it. It was leaking real bad out of here. Those copper washers I got at Harbor Freight are very, very thick, and I was unable to use them here because I run out of threads. So I reused the old ones, and there's probably not much left in those. Yeah, it's leaking bad, isn't it? Danger. So I'm going to have to look for something on the order like fiber washers or something. Question is there any gas staying in there? Well, I hope so. Let's give it a shot. I had to get another adapter. I'm starting to run out of these things. I broke 3 of them so far. I'm going to have to stock up. Another broken one. This drill was about right as far as power and speed for doing this. We're going to break it. Today's the day. Alright. We have throttle! We have fuel. We don't really have choke right now. Let's see what happens. Just choke it while it's spinning, that'd be awesome. Could I mess up a little choke thing here? Try that. That's a choke. Raise the idle. Oh, I'm already maxed out, aren't I? No, I'm not. I can raise this up. I can get more throttle opening. Let's try that. It's probably what that tickler thing is. Thing it is fuel's running out as fast as you can put it in. Wow, it's running out everywhere. No, it's got gas somewhere. Wow. That thing just kicks the snot out of me. I mean, damn. Got it running everywhere. Wow. This thing's really taking me out. Spit that right in my face. Yeah, that's pretty good. Well, turn you back on in a minute. Alright, let's try this again. See what we can blow up next. It's just coming out of everywhere. Alright, we're going to go slow. Come on. Jeez. This thing is unbelievable when it kicks. Did that on purpose. Now we're about half throttle. Oh boy. I have to go online and buy a set of like fiber washers or copper washers or both and try and seal this thing up. These old used parts just ain't working. I've got those things as tight as I dare. These nuts. I don't want to damage the threads over old washers. See, I can't find the carburetor on the internet. I certainly can't find a kit. Choke it. Nice to draw some fuel in. I'm sure we've gotten gas from everywhere. Gas running everywhere. It's going to be a big old flame ball here. Stay out of its way. Golly gee. Keep fiddling here until we get hurt. Alright, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to the other side, take that variator off, clean up those 4 ball bearings that I greased up so that I could assemble this thing without them falling away. And then that goofed up the Kickstarter. Time to get that fixed. Because you just can't imagine how hard that thing kicks when it fires. We'll figure it out. Well, gang, I think what we're going to do with the Silver Pigeon is wait. The carburetor is not working well. The needle and seat aren't holding. The seals aren't holding. We can't get a kit. I'm tired of fighting it. Going to break down and... There's fuel shut off. And just adapt like a 22 millimeter Mikuni carburetor to this. I just don't want to fight it anymore. I'm not getting anywhere with it. It's just frustrating and dangerous. And when this thing kicks, man, it just kicks hard. So just gonna back burner it for a little while, get a carburetor ordered like today or next week or something, and get that coming. In the meantime, I've started videos on the 82 Honda Urban Express. Just kind of playing with it, getting it cleaned up, getting a parts list, and hunting for parts. Right now I'm struggling to find a cable for the rear brake. The guy gave me a cable, but it's not the right cable. And I've hit up every manufacturer I could find on the internet, and evidently the world is out of brake cables for an Urban Express. Will they ever make one? That's a question mark. Well, I guess they're all kind of unique in their own way, aren't they? So a little less on the Urban Express here, and a little more on the Riverside. We will see that in an upcoming video where I put a Mikuni on it. I'm going to have to custom build an intake manifold, obviously, to fit the Mikuni carburetor. So I'll have to get it, and then we'll do a video on custom intake manifold, and then we'll get it put on. And then that will give us a little peace of mind. I believe the engine is great, and the carburetor is junk. So let's put a great carburetor on a great scooter, on a great engine, and we'll have something when we're done with it. All right, gang, so that wraps up the Riverside for now. The Mitsubishi 125 overhead valve, air-cooled, single-cylinder engine on the Silver Pigeon. We'll catch you guys on the next video.